Okay, so recently I decided to buy some gas struts for my Nissan Navara NP300 or D23, and they arrived in the mail yesterday with no instructions. I did manage to figure out roughly how it went, but I just think it's a little bit odd that for 70 bucks they can't actually provide you with some instructions. So what I thought I'd do is just do this quick little video just to show you how I fitted them. That's the driver's side strut that's fitted here. There is a picture on the internet which shows them up this way, but there is also a couple of videos where I've seen where they're actually installed the other way, but it doesn't really matter as long as you've got the clearance along here. They pick up on a pre-existing hole in the wing here. This one is just in front of the washer bottle, and then you have to remove the top nut on the current bonnet attachment here and attach this small bracket here and then lock it into place. And I'll show you how I do that on the other side, which I haven't yet fitted. To do this, you're going to need a 12mm socket just to remove the nut on the current bonnet hinge assembly on the bracket there, and a 10mm, I'm using a 10mm ratchet spanner which I just bought. The kit comes with, and this is an important note, the kit comes with 2 of these M6 nuts with the shoulder on, and 2 larger washers like this, but they only supply 2 nuts and 2 washers. So the first thing you're going to have to do is get yourself some more nuts. So I actually bought some stainless lock nuts, nylock nuts, but just for good measure I'm just putting a little blob of Loctite stud lock on it as well, or thread lock. So you'll need 4 nuts and 4 washers. So first of all we're going to remove this front nut on the bonnet hinge assembly. And this is the bracket that they supply. I've also seen a number of different ways in which the strut can mount to this. I've actually mounted this this way round on the other side with this on the outside, and mounted the strut facing out. There's plenty of clearance down here to fit it in, so I found that this worked well. There are other ways you can do it like this, but I found I've got enough clearance to do it the other way as well, so it's just my way of doing it. I'm just going to put a small amount of thread lock on this. It's not critical, but one of the reasons I've done that is because taking this nut off has taken the paint off of this, so it's in effect loosened it off a little bit. So we're just going to, this again has a shoulder on it, so there's no washer on this. The slot in this bracket is considerably wider, similar to the hole that's available in the wing. So I've just made sure it's pushed hard and square up against the edge of this bracket here. Hold that in place and just make sure that that stays square. If you have any problems holding this square, you can always put like an adjustable spanner on there and just nip that up. Now, as I say, I've mounted my struts with the gas cylinder up. Physically, it doesn't really make any difference which way round they go, because the mounting points are the same either end, and the strut works exactly the same whether the gas cylinder is at the top or the bottom. This is the way I've chosen. I'm going to put it into this hole here first, and I'll show you why shortly. This hole here is actually way oversized for the 6mm thread that's on this here. So what you'll find is that the strut will find a position due to the tension on that at the beginning of that hole, but because of the washer that you put on, there's plenty of room there. So I'll fit this now. So make sure you've got your large plate washer sits underneath here, and we'll put a little blob of Loctite on the nut. Again, it's a nylock nut. This isn't absolutely necessary, but I'm just taking that extra precaution. And take care when you put this washer on, because the one on the other side where it's behind the washer bottle, I did actually drop the washer down into the engine bay and lost it. Now this ball joint that goes into this will actually spin round in the ball joint, so you'll need to put a spanner on the top here as well to hold that. Okay, so we just nip that up, so that's all good. Now, the next thing to note on this is that you'll see that this gas strut, because it'll be under tension when the bonnet is actually up. There's two ways of doing this. You can actually get someone to actually push the bonnet up for you, but if you put two hands, if you grab the cylinder with two hands and just pull it down, you'll see you'll break the strain on it, and then you can just get the bolt into the hole like that. There's a tight enough angle there that it would actually hold that in position. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of thread locker on this nut. Not necessary, it's a nylock nut. You'll find as you tighten this up, it will pull that strut in, and it will actually clear this nut here. So I'll just fast forward. So there you can see I've actually now tightened this up, and we've got plenty of clearance between the top ball joint on the strut here and where this stud sticks through here. There's actually plenty of clearance when the bonnet is shut down here. So, and the strut's nice and tight on there through this existing hole here. Now we'll give it a shot. Oh, one thing I will mention, the bonnet stay, which the NP300 comes with standard, sat in a little cradle here. You'll find that that fouls on the strut, so I've actually taken that out. And when you do take this strut out here, it will sit neatly inside here. I'll show you that shortly. Okay, so I've popped the bonnet, and I'm now going to try this for the first time. Everything, nothing fouls, so I'm doing this one-handed. There we go. There is the bonnet in the up position. The struts are now taking the weight of the bonnet. Now, as I mentioned before, this is actually how I've laid the strut, the existing strut in here to, on this particular instance, to the left of the gas strut here. I found that if I put it on the right here between the strut and the water filler bottle, it actually fouled just on the edge of this here, on the edge of the gas cylinder, and that would be the same if you had the cylinder up the other way as well. But it sits in here quite nicely. It's actually sitting in there, just locking underneath this bore here, no problem at all. And there we have the gas struts. So when you close the bonnet, you'll find that you've got a bit of resistance until you get about a third of the way down, and then you've take the weight of the bonnet, and then it's all good. So there you go, that's the installation of the gas struts to the Navara NP300.